Jack Canfield's Breakthroughs to Success home study course now continues. Enjoy.
Hi. I've really got to share something this morning. Okay, I'm going to practice all those things we learned. Thanks. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Wendy. This morning I had the most incredible experience. I just summed it up with, I found my path. And so cool. That was the hardest part. Now I can roll with it. Okay. For the last few days, I've been out in the desert hiking, looking for a path. And this morning I got up and I took all my crap with me, trying to find the path. I had my bag with the folder. I'm not calling that crap. I got to get some approval here. And I had this thick other folder of goals that I've written over I don't know how many years. I thought, okay, I'm going to sort it out this morning, up on a rock, in the mountains with the desert's help. So one day I got up and I took the path that went on the left. And it was very pretty. I found some little cute crystals I was showing a few people. But it led nowhere, really nowhere. There was no view. I was a little disappointed, came down. The next day I went out and I got in a rut. And above me are those electric wires. And all of a sudden I'm like, why am I walking in this rut with these electric wires over my head? So I got up on this little mountain, looked around. There was no way out, so I went back. And this morning, with all my crap on my shoulder, I got up, and there's a little sign saying path this way. I mean, you know how they stack up those little rocks? I mean, I hike. I should have seen that the first day. Anyway, I took that path. And it was the most amazing experience. I first wanted to stop before, and there was a little corner, and I said, well, this would be a beautiful place. And then something said, yeah, but you said you were going to go around that corner. Oh, yeah. And I feel like my mom always told me, go around, because she's a hiking queen. And I said, okay, I'm going around the corner. And there was this big flat rock, and I just said, that's the place. I put down my crap. I looked around, and there was one path going off to this cool-looking cave, and another one marked, winding up. So I go down to the cool-looking cave, and I'm like, oh, hello, cool-looking cave, and checked if there were any paintings or something I could really bring back and discover. There wasn't. I went back on the other little path. Oh, man, I wish I found this 3 days ago. I would want you all to come with me on that path. Jack, you got to go. And your wife has got to go. It winds around, and it's marked, and it's just the most beautiful path. And it has this part that if you scream out your affirmations, they'll scream back at you. It's an echo affirmation place, man. There. And then the path is going around. I just knew I had to get over there. And I started to ask the universe, God, I have no problems with any word you can give me, and I'll accept it. And I said, could you show me a sign, please? I want to keep this. And where's my partner for the meditation on that little box meditation? Who was with me on that box meditation? He's not here? Where we had to open the box, and in the box, anyway. In that box for me was a key, a pretty key, but a really rusty key. And when we did the meditation, I was like, can't I have a gold key? No. And so came the vision of that key, and I thanked the universe. I said, thank you. He got it. He remembers now.
The rusty key.
The rusty key. It was rusty. So that wasn't exactly the sign I wanted there, but I said thank you because it came very clear again. I still haven't figured it all out, but that's okay. And I said, well, could I have something tangible? Could I have an arrowhead? And then I said, no, that sounds violent. So I kind of scratched, how about like a cool rock or something like that? And I let it go, and I realized, okay, that, fine. Well, a few feet later, I can show it to you, but I will. My treasures. I found this, and it looked to me like an arrowhead that I had stopped creating. And I just thought it was really cool. And then I picked it up and said, that's cool. Then I found this. I thought that was really cool. And then I found these like dinosaur egg things that I'd seen in all the national parks because I was camping before. I was like, ooh. And I looked all around me, and it's like, there's so many treasures here. This is so cool. That wasn't all the treasures. I got up to the side, and there is like a canyon. And it's just beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. There's like rock formations. And I climb up to the top of the mountain. You get a full 360-degree view of Vegas, of the lake, of the mountains. I was just like, whoa. It was absolutely so inspirational and beautiful. And the story of all this thing was, of this whole experience, and I mean, it is just it's not the last time I'm going to visit this story, because I had so many mini stories come in, and I'm not going to share them all with you. But I felt like, wow, my path of adventure was there. I don't know exactly what it was, but I don't have to be afraid, and I don't even have to be afraid because I know I'm going to take the path. I know I'm going to take it, and that is really, really cool. And there was one other thing, but I forgot what it was. Oh, no, I didn't. That was the end of that story, and I know that was a bad ending. Please don't criticize me on that afterwards. I figured it out myself. Thank you. Wendy. I would just like to take this time with everybody's attention to acknowledge Kyle and Zach. Could you stand up, please, Kyle and Zach? Kyle's up and Zach's up. I would really like to acknowledge both these great guys. I met them, bumped into them the first evening swimming in the pool, and I just thought, I hadn't met Jack. And Jack, you were not on my guru list. I put you there now, but you weren't before. But all I could think when I met these guys was, man, if this is relation to this guy is going to be cool. And I really, really thought that. And I just think you're both just so cool. And keep on. And now, for the sales part, hallelujah, of my speech. Kyle, come here. Uh-oh. This is Inspector Double Negative. Wendy, come here. And Wendy's in the rap business. One of my past lives, I was the honeybee in Boulder, Colorado, in KUCB. I had one of the first rap shows at that period in my life. Haven't listened to much of it since, but that's okay, I moved away. What I want to say is, Kyle has been in this for years, and he gave me his CD, I was about to say DVD, but it's not there yet, and I was impressed. It is really, really cool. And I was thinking about this, and I came up to him, I said, Kyle, let me have one of those, or let me hear it. And he gives me one, and I said, no, I want to pay for it. He said, okay, $5. And I just took it, I said, you know what? No, I want to sell these for you. That's what I want to do. And I talked to Wendy, and we came up with a plan, but the plan's just been shot. What I would ask is, if you love rap music, or if you've got somebody in your family, and man, when I started, nobody loved rap music, and I think now you know somebody who truly loves rap music, you would be doing a big service of buying this record and giving it to them, to know that there is an inspirational voice behind rap music. You see this guy, he's singing those lyrics, but don't worry, because the other part's going to come shining through. Now, if you hate rap music, never listened to it in your life, and then you couldn't judge it, but if you think you don't like it, you have got to buy this record. Because probably the reason you don't like it is you think, those lyrics are negative. I don't like that. That is just going to ruin the world. Well, this guy is living proof that it ain't going to ruin the world. And Kyle is going to be able to change that rap world. And I absolutely 100% believe that fully. And I also believe that, Jack, you're going to be asking to be on tour with this guy one day. And that Kyle is going to reach a whole different area that Jack may one day reach, but how does a guy dance? No, he's not going to reach it then. Might be in the background video, you know, just to kind of come in like that, but.
I'll be the gorilla.
Yeah! That'd be the proper role. So, Kyle's CDs are on sale for $10. He's got a limited number. Act right away, but
18.
$18. Oh! Well, you can pay more than $10 if it so moves you. And if not, I'm
Kyle,
sure
let
he'll
me
take a
coach you
list.
here. He'll take orders. And we'll ship them to you.
That's all I have to say. Oh! Thank you.
Kyle,
This is so cool.
thank you. Can you just give him like a minute and a half of what you do? Or two? Or whatever.
Hip hop usually goes to bed right about now. It doesn't wake up. What's the definition of a collective? To enlighten and enrich the organic objective. I see no face, no eyes, no place, no races ran without time or space suspends lifespan. Child, woman, and man. You see the nameless of bases and not your ordinary band. We stand on plains and lands in view of the people. Demonstrate on besides the gatherings for the equal. What's the definition of a collective? Bike rides stay active, honeys that are attractive. Why's that? Cause we are the bees. To the AA girl, can't you see what your life could truly be? What's the definition of a collective? It's a global perspective, identities are reflected, everybody's respected, cool, calm, and collected, only love is projected. In a world that is hectic, everybody's a leader, nobody's elected, non-profits for profits, energies are directed in a forward direction, asking more than one question, who, what, where, when, why made creation, rah.
He's got the mic. Go.
I was gonna do this later, but right now I wanna acknowledge Wendy Day. Get out, Wendy. Wendy Day is responsible for more than half of my favorite hip hop artists' albums coming out. Half the music I heard that I love, I blame Wendy Day for putting that in the record store and making sure that the artist actually got paid enough to come out with the next album, go on tour, and stay healthy. Now, a bunch of people gave me money, you gotta come back and remind me who you were. And if on the break you come back, we can really get this to happen.
All right.
Wendy, yeah, you're the best.
And remember, I'm going to lead everybody into the hug process, too.
Sorry, don't kill me. Please.
I won't kill you, Paul.
This is really important. Oh no! My cell phone.
Oh, great! His cell phone's ringing!
Wait, whose cell phones are ringing out there? Oh my God! Stand up if your cell phone is on. Oh my God! They're all ringing. Oh. This is for you.
Oh,
I was an orphan too. Thank you.
thank you.
So Jana, I'm matching all that money. Let me know.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. 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 She says she'll match what is received, and thank you too. Inga, thank you for giving us the phrase. What is synchromystical. What is it, Inga? This is the beautiful Inga, Jack's wife, beautiful Inga. So, you've heard this phrase, coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. I've always had this other phrase that I made up the Dasha definition for, and that's synchronicity. Synchronicity, my definition is God getting a kick out of showing off. When you see what song I was going to do, that I am going to do, because Federico asked me yesterday, Federico from last year's training and from the advanced training. Would you stand up, Federico? Thank you for your part in this miracle. I keep wanting to put my hand over my face like I'm shielding from this goodness. It's hard to take. It's hard to receive, and it's fun to receive. So he asked me for the song, and then I asked Jack if I could tell you about my orphanage this morning and ask you if you would help me raise $10,000 by the end of the day. Is that so wild? And James had told me at the beginning of the week that he would give a gift. Let me just go back and say, this is the most pay-it-forward group I've ever been part of in my life. All of you amaze me. You amaze me. The money I have felt coming into my pockets, I'm overwhelmed, and it all came from a silly little cell phone charity of me asking Jack, could we have a cell phone charity? And that way, instead of being upset, it'll be fun when someone's cell phone goes off. So Jack said yes to that. I was gonna wear these different pants that I'm gonna wear tonight. They're these pants with these really deep pockets. Because what I'm going to come as tonight is not the person who wears suits and has her hair all smooth and has makeup on and does keynote concerts. I will still do that. And who I want to be is, I want to be a philanthropist. So I want money to come in so that I could give it away for people. And the weird thing is, I'm not a person with a lot of money. How can you be a philanthropist if you're a person who doesn't have a lot of money? And I didn't have the courage to wear those pants this morning and tell you this story. I wanted to, but I didn't have the courage because I was afraid of what you'd think of me if you knew that I just how much fear I have about asking. I have a real fear of asking for help, even if it's for other people. I have a real fear of asking. And so I took those pants off and I decided I'd just do it tonight. And I'm gonna be brave because we need $25,000 more for the orphanage to put on the roof. I made a goal to raise $50,000 by the end of July so that we could start construction. Through my Caterpillar Society, which is my group of family and friends online, we were able to raise $25,000, which is really amazing that a small group could raise $25,000. And that was with the help of Laura Fenimore, who's in the back, who went to Bali with me and went to the orphanage and fell in love with these girls. 26 people fell in love with 50 girls. And so we're paying for them to go to school because you can't go to school unless someone pays for you in Bali. So we're paying for them to go to school, but this group had a bigger goal to try and give them a nice place to live with more than one stall in their bathroom for 50 girls. And more than just faucets outside for them to wash their clothes on and to wash their hands on, and a roof that doesn't leak on their beds. So James offered a gift. James Redmond stands back there all day long. And can you imagine the energy it takes to run 3 cameras by yourself back there every day and not get to do any of the activities and not get the hugs and not do any of that? And James offered to make a DVD of my concert from Saturday night that a lot of you missed, that could be given to anyone who could give $1,000 or $500. I want to do this. I am going to ask those of you who have the money to give, could some people who put aside money like I do, a percentage every month, and you've got a fund that you just give away like I do, could I be the person you give that to today for this orphanage? Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so let me tell you this gift that James offered to give. He offered to edit and produce the concert that I did on Saturday night as a gift to anyone who could give a big gift like that. Now, I want to give you a gift. If he will do that, I will pay for the duplication and I will pay for the mailing to mail that out to everybody. I don't want to just give it to the people who can give $500 or $1,000. I want to give it to everyone. And here's what I ask. Would you give me your card? And would you write who you're giving in honor of on the back of your card? Someone who's been a giver in your life, who has inspired you to be a giver. I don't care if you gave me $1. I don't care if you couldn't give anything. Would you write that name of who inspired you to be a giver on the back of your card? We'll make a pile for this money. Where can we put it? Where can we put it? Okay, Thales has a lovely plastic bag. And in that bag, I just want you to know that I'm not gonna know probably unless you write a check. It is tax deductible if you do that. We can take credit cards also. I may not know everybody who gave each thing, but if you will write who you're giving in honor of, what I'm gonna do when we go back to Bali, and you've got the piece of paper about that if you wanna go with me. What we're gonna do when we go back to Bali is we're gonna put something up on their walls that says the names of all the people who gave and all the people they gave in honor of. So if you will write that, who you're giving in honor of, then that can go on the wall in Bali. And if you'd like to go with me in December, you can go see it for yourself. And if we can get this done by the end of today, I've got a person who will match 10,000. We can get the whole 25. This group can do that for the orphanage, and we'll know that this group did that by the end of the day. I'll keep you up on it by the end of the day. Yeah.
This is the new Thomas Michaud CD. and we've all enjoyed his music a few times this week. And I'm going to put it up on the stage, and the first one who will give her a check for $2,500 to fix the roof for the orphans. And I know what it feels like to be an orphan, so thank you. The first check for $2,500 gets this first autographed copy of the new CD. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, Suzanne. I'm going to go back to singing my song now so that we can get back to all the processes we need to do today. Not need to do, get to do today. I just want you to notice what song was scheduled to be sung today because of Federico, who was a player in this miracle like we all are. And thank you to whoever had that brilliant cell phone idea. Paul. What do you see when you look at me? Do you see who I am or who I'm trying to be? I'm scared in here behind my brave face. Oh, I stand before you asking for grace, asking for grace, asking for grace, a heart with some room, a simple, safe place where I could love you like there's nothing to lose, where I could be me like there's nothing to lose. I stand before you asking for grace. I want you to listen to this song for yourself. I don't want my albums to be more songs about me. I figure if I can write them from a true place, then it can be about you. So just listen to who you're trying to be and think about that person that you are ready to be. Could you keep the faith if I need some time? Just a chance for my courage to catch up with my mind, 'cause it's all I can do not to push you away. Oh, I stand before you asking for grace, asking for grace, asking for grace, a heart with some room, a simple, safe place where I could be me like there's nothing to lose. Oh, I stand before you asking for grace. Listen to this part for yourself. Some secret inside says that if I don't run, I will stretch like a sunflower up to the sun, asking for grace, asking for grace, a heart with some room, a simple, safe place where I could be me, like there's nothing to lose, nothing to lose. I stand before you, asking for grace. I stand before you, I stand before you, I stand before you, asking for grace. I stand before you, I stand before you, I stand before you, asking for grace. Namaste. 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 Please welcome back Jack Canfield.
Sometime get about $1,000 in $1 bills and just put it on your bed and wallow in it. It's a really cool feeling. It's beautiful. You know, one of the things that Jana modeled is asking. And it's easier than you think. And when you ask for things that are bigger than you, it resonates with that part of everyone who wants to be bigger than they are and to share at that level. One year, Mark and I decided we were eating up a lot of trees. You do 100 million books, use a lot of paper. So we decided we needed to give back in that arena. So we donated, I think, over $250,000 to the Arbor Day Foundation. We planted over 1 million trees on the planet with that. And in addition to giving a percentage of books that year that we did to that, we also just made a real simple request to people. Every time we sold anything at a speech, we just said, if you're willing, just add an extra $1, we'll plant a tree. And we raised another $50,000 or $60,000 that way, simply by asking. Something little. Doesn't always have to be a huge gift. Something little can make a big difference. So when you're out there doing whatever it is you do, think about what you could ask for or what you could facilitate happening in terms of people giving. A couple of years ago, within a 2-week period, 9 people gave me this book, The Hidden Messages in Water. How many of you have read that book? Okay. And then I was fortunate enough 2 times in the last year to meet with Masaru Emoto, the author. The first was in Liverpool at the SEAL conference, the Society for Effective Affective Learning. And he was a keynote speaker there. He was on a world tour for his book. He was very tired, but he came in and spoke to us at 10 o'clock at night, just flown in from India, where he'd been speaking. One of the most humble, beautiful people I've ever met. And then again at the Book Expo America, at the, forgetting the name of it, but anyway, it's called a NAPRA breakfast. It's people that are into consciousness, and they have 4 authors present, and he was one of them. And for those of you who don't know, he's a Japanese scientist. He's a holistic doctor. And he became interested in what is it in our beingness that resonates and actually holds memory. It's not just your brain. We now know that the brain, as it were, is all of your body. All the neurons are part of the brain. And we also know that water, which makes up how much of your body? Anyone know? 75 to 90%, depending. When you're born, it's very high, and as you get older, it tends to go lower. Drinking water helps. But anyway, about at least a minimum of 70% of your body is water. And you're about to see, if you haven't seen this, that water has memory. And water responds to conscious thought, or unconscious thought, but the thought. So just to give you a taste of this, because I think it applies to what we're learning and teaching here, I want to run you through a couple of slides. Maybe we could bring the lights down just a little bit in the front of the room if there's an assistant that knows how to do that. He has 3 or 4 books now. You can go to the website. This book always hovers right around number 40 on Amazon.com. It's kind of an underground bestseller, just hovering beneath the threshold of top level. This is a picture of Masaru Emoto. And at the top of this microscope, you see a little camera sitting up there. And what he does is he takes water, like a bottle of water like we might have here, and he might have his students in his class at the university put it up here, and they'll just send negative thoughts toward that water. And then they'll do that for a couple minutes, and they'll take the water and they'll freeze little droplets of it on little petri dishes in these freezers. And then when they come out and they put it under the microscope, just as it starts to go from being solid to water again, it builds crystals. And depending on the energy that's been sent to the water, whether it's a negative thought or a positive thought, I hate you, I love you. We saw up here, when we were doing the kinesiology demonstration, that our model, when we sent her positive thoughts, arm stayed strong, negative thoughts, arm went weak. And we see that we do have the ability to impact each other with our thoughts. And he started to want to figure out if there was some way to measure that, improve that, so it was more than just a feeling. So here's a picture of a water crystal when they send love and gratitude to the water. Here's a picture when they send thank you. And notice there's a little heart right in the middle of that, kind of pointing to the right. Here's one when they chant Om Namah Shivaya, which is a Hindu chant that certain people in India chant. This is when they send you fool. On the right is do it. Do it because I said so. On the left is let's do it. Let's clean up your room. Let's have a party. Let's get the job done. As opposed to do it because I said so. You know, the old management model, the old parenting model. Look at the difference. We get a nice, beautiful crystal. Whenever we get negative energy, we get these kind of black, nebulous, blobby things. On the left, they just took the Japanese calligraphy for angel and just taped that to the bottle. No thoughts, just the word on a, as if it were being typed. And on the right, the word demon or devil. And again, we see the formations of crystals there. We see that opposite side. Here's when they play Imagine by John Lennon. And what's really cool, I've seen the video and they play the music and you can actually see the crystal forming. And it's like a dance. It's like when our ballerina was up here dancing. And they show different kinds of music. Heavy metal, you don't get this. Now this is very interesting. This is what led to a very interesting experiment. One day they decided to go out and see how much water you could affect by your thought. And so they went out to the Fujiwara Dam and they had a monk pray and they took samples from all around the lake and got crystals like this, really beautiful. One Zen Buddhist monk. Which made him think, what if we did a project like this? What if we got 10,000 Japanese people and we got together for an hour and we sent love and gratitude to all the water on the planet? Would it affect it? Now what they've known is when they do this, it doesn't work with salt water. For some reason, they don't get the crystal formation. So they said, bodies of water that are fresh water. So they took samples from bodies of water like the Congo River, the Mississippi River, different dams and lakes all around the world the day before. Then they had the 10,000 people send the energy to the water. And then they took samples from those same bodies of water, labeled them, sent them off to Japan. And these are just a few. There are literally hundreds of them to give you a sense. Here's in Lake Biwa, the largest freshwater lake in Japan, the day before on the left, the day after on the right. Here we have water samples from the St. Croix River that divides the state of Wisconsin and Minnesota. On the left, the day before. On the right, the day after. We're talking thousands and thousands of miles away. On the left, waters from the Mississippi River. On the right, the day after. Here we have Fisher Pond on Vashon Island in Washington. Day before, day after. And it goes like that all around the world. So the point is, this. You can bring the lights back up if you want. we're now seeing that we have measurement. You know, we're looking at quantum physics, we're looking at neuroscience, and we're getting a lot of new information to validate what we've intuitively known for a long time. And as I said before, every time you have a vision, what Rudy talked about, his vision, his purpose, the cause. Last night, when Michael was talking about the dream room, having a vision, having a purpose, being clear. Clarity is power. When you have that and you focus on it, that's part of the discipline, is the focusing on it, keeping your attention. The book we wrote, The Power of Focus. What you focus on and attend to, you draw into your life, you magnify. And so, when you're focused on your dream, when you're focused on your vision, when you're focused on being grateful, when you're focused on love, when you're focused on your passion and your purpose, you're literally sending out these massive wireless emails. You can take a BlackBerry and send, by the click of a button, 1 million emails. And people respond. When Rudy talked about the people just start showing up in your life, I think Michael talked about that last night too. You attract to you through the consciousness that you hold, the intention you hold, the vision that you're holding, what you're focusing on. And last night and today you saw two very focused people, very passionate, very clear, very clean about what they're doing. And to the level that you can develop that level of alignment and clarity and purpose and focus and vision and passion, then you'll start having those miraculous things too, what Jana referred to, the word that Inga made up and then forgot she made up, called synchromystical. I love my friend Raymond Aaron says these things happen automagically. If you do the work, if you do the work, if you do the work, as Michael said, if you practice, eventually the music happens. Anyone who's played an instrument knows that. Any speaker knows that. You saw a master speaker up here this morning. Did he demonstrate what Marshall was talking about yesterday? Yeah. Connection, pause, conversation, presence, natural, spontaneous humor. And yet, at the same time, a lot of work went into being able to be that spontaneous and playful and present. He knew his material. All right. We're going to just run through a number of things here, just kind of hitting highlights. Step 8, take action. We focused on that yesterday and the day before when we got involved. And some of you, when Rudy held up, who wants this? You took action. You got out of your seat. Many of you, Jana took action this morning and generated funds for her cause, for her passion. Paul took action, made the cell phone thing happen. You know, standing up. TJ's song, stand up. Make a stand. Take action. Get off your butt. Sometimes it's called get on your butt. We talked about bum glue when you're a writer. Got to sit there and write. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Jana was scared this morning, but she did it. Rudy was afraid, but he took the chance. He stood up. I've seen that 5-minute end of that 7 times in my life. I cry every time. All that work for one goal, 27 seconds. Only football player to get carried off the field. You know who else was on the team? Joe Montana. He didn't get carried off the field. You know? Passion, purpose, commitment. The willingness to do the doingness, to exercise, to practice, to play, to prepare, to ask. I love this picture. Remember this one? Let's do that again. Oh, what the heck? Go for it anyway. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll tell you a quick story about this. I have a friend named Richard Paul Evans. He wrote the book, The Christmas Box. Any of you know who he is or that book? It's the only book to ever be #1 on the New York Times bestseller list, on the hardback and the softback list simultaneously. It was still selling so many in hardback, they let it out, and it still kept selling even though the cheaper edition was available. He writes this book, really didn't write a book, he wrote a letter or story for his daughters one Christmas, just as a gift. He showed it to a couple relatives. They said, that's really neat, would you Xerox us a copy? He went down to the Xerox store and Xeroxed a couple copies. Then he started getting calls. Turns out the guy in the Xerox store loved it so much he had made an illegal pirated copy and was sharing it with some of his friends. Pretty soon, Desiree Books said, we might want to publish this for you. And so he's got this little book, I think he self-published it at first, and he goes down to the regional BEA, the Book Expo America in Colorado, in Denver. And there's a thing they do there where all the celebrity authors get to line up at a table, sometimes 15, 20 wide, and people line up, and the publishers provide free books, and you sign them and give them out. And he noticed, because he had a booth right near there, that the only people the press were interviewing were the people that were these so-called celebrity authors. And that's how they kind of knew who they were, the ones that had the signings. And he didn't get asked to have a signing. He said one day, they switch him every hour. He said one day he looked over and there was a blank space. Nobody was there. And he looked at it and he looked at it and he thought, well, what's the worst that could happen? If I go over there, the only thing they could do is throw me out. I'm already over here, it can't get worse, so I'll go over there. So he picks up 2 boxes of books and he starts walking toward the table. And this woman comes up and he says, oh, I've been caught. And she says, oh, I'm sorry you're late. Are you the guy that's supposed to be here? He says, yeah. He says, here's a signing pen. And he started signing the books. And someone came up and said, I don't know who you are, but if you're up here, you must be somebody. What's your book? He gave him a copy, and the guy wrote a glowing review in the Denver Post. And that was picked up by the AP wires, and it went out across the country. Because he did what? Took action. He didn't wait to be asked. He asserted himself. He took a risk. Remember we said this morning, self-confidence is a result of successfully surviving a risk. You've got to be willing to jump into the void. Talked about that last night. The willingness to go into nowhere, because once you show up nowhere, because you're there, it's somewhere. I love that. I thought that was really cool. It's true. We did the asking exercise, and you got a lot of rejection, and Rudy talked about rejection. He got rejected right and left, over and over and over. Can't come to community college, can't come to finish high school, can't go to college, can't get on the team. But he kept going back over and over and over and over. There's something we call the law of probabilities. The more people you ask, the more likely you are to get a what? A yes. The more things you try, the more likely one of them will work. So remember that. Doesn't always have to be the same thing. You can try different things. And you learn you can go back to the same person and ask. Try the same thing with somebody different. Try new things with the same person. It's an ongoing experiment. When you look at Michael Gerber's work, you'll see, he talks about you got to keep experimenting. How do you keep making it better? How do you keep moving toward that ideal of perfection? And we learned when we looked at the gap, you never reach the ideal. You keep leveling up to actual 2, getting higher and higher. And you just keep exploring. Well, what would happen if we did this? What would happen if we did that? And you don't know. But in the business world, you use metrics and you measure and you find out. It's like when you do marketing and you do an email or a marketing campaign. You test a letter. You test it with different headlines, different hooks, different offers. You keep testing it and testing it and testing it. See if you can get a better response. So one of the issues is, what do you do when people say no? What do you say? Next. Do that, right? No. Next. Next. Always say next. You got it. 5 billion people on the planet. I had a friend who wanted to raise money for his project in New York, investment money. Couldn't get any of the banks, none of the investment firms would do it. So he used to go up to Darien, Connecticut, and get on the train, take it down to New York, and he would go and he'd sit down next to people and say, are you a qualified investor? And if they didn't know the answer, they weren't. And if they did, they obviously were, and he would start to pitch them his product. 21 days into doing that, day after day after day after day after day after day, 21 days, he got a guy to invest in his project. Went on to become a multimillionaire. Are you willing to do 21 days? Aristotle Onassis, when he wanted to do his first deal, which had to do with importing tobacco into whatever country he was in South America, there was only one guy that he could get to that would allow that to happen. He had to get his permission, get him to buy into it. He couldn't get the guy to meet with him. Everyone treated him like when Rudy called me and when Bill came to my house and stood outside my gate because he couldn't get through to my secretary or through my secretary. We did that for 11 days. And finally, the guy's coming to work one day. He says, you've been standing here for 11 days. What do you want? Who are you? He says, I'm trying to get a meeting with you. He says, well, what is it you want? He said, I want to do a deal with you. He says, well, I'll give you from here to my office on the second floor. You do the pitch. And he pitched him, and he made the first deal. It was worth $100,000 to him, and Ariel Onassis went on to become a billionaire. See, what level of commitment do you have to being willing to ask and go next, 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 next. The more you do, the more likely you are to succeed. We put a story about Marquita Andrews in the first Chicken Soup for the Soul book, little Girl Scout. How many of you sold Girl Scout cookies? Keep your hand up if you sold over 300 boxes in a year. How many did you sell? 350? 350 roughly? Anyone sell over 400? 500? 600? How many? 777. That's a good number in Las Vegas. You win money when you have 37.
I was going for 1,000.
You were going for 1,000. That's good, committed. Marquita, in her first year, sold 1,325 boxes of Girl Scout cookies. Before she retired, she sold 32,572 boxes. She's in the Guinness Book of World Record for selling more Girl Scout cookies than anybody. Why did she do it? 2 reasons. One, she asked and kept saying next, but she had passion, she had a purpose, she had a cause, what you've heard over and over and over. Here's how it came about. Marquita's mother came to her and said, Marquita, you know, we're a Puerto Rican family living in New York. No one's ever been to college. I'd like you to go to college. But I have another dream as well. My dream is I want to travel around the world. I've never been around the world. And I want to see the Eiffel Tower. I want to see the Great Wall of China. I want to see the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I want to see the pyramids. In order to do that, I've been saving money. Now I got a problem. I don't think I can save enough money to send you to college and me to go around the world. But I had a thought. What if I send you to college and then you make money that a college graduate can make, because I'm only a waitress and I'm living off tips and minimum wage. And she said, if you'll make a deal that you'll go to college and then save 20% of your income until you have enough to send me around the world, I'll send you to college. Marquita's 11 at the time. She's not even a Girl Scout. She's a brownie. She says, deal. What does she know? That year, the Girl Scouts came out with a contest that says, girl who sells most cookies wins trip for 2 around the world. Marquita said, I'm going to get through this one quick. So she had a cause now. She had a goal. She had a vision. She had a purpose, and she had passion about it. Those of you that sold Girl Scout cookies, some of you can remember this one. Hi. You don't want to buy any Girl Scout cookies, do you? Here's Marquita. Hi, you can see by my uniform, I'm a Girl Scout, and we are having our annual cookie drive. And I have a dream. My dream is to sell more cookies than any girl in the entire country, and therefore win a trip for 2 around the world from me and my mom. And I want to take my mom so bad. My mom's the best mom on the planet. She really wants to go. How many boxes will you buy to support me in my dream? And people would say, well, is 10 enough? Would that help? After she sold that first year and broke the record and won the trip, they made a movie about her. Disney found out, made a movie called The Cookie Kid. I think it was Simon & Schuster, one of the publishing companies, came to her and said, we want to write a book. And so they wrote a book. It's called How to Sell More Cookies, Condos, Cadillacs, Computers, and Everything Else by Marquita Andrews with Cheryl Mercer. That book went on to become a bestseller. As a result of that, she was asked to speak to the $1 Million Roundtable at Radio City Music Hall that year. There were 1,000 people in the audience. And she asked them, said, I want you to look under your chair. And I want you to find a 3x5 card. Take that card, write a number between 5 and 10 on that card. Everyone did. And she said, as you leave this session, that's the number of Girl Scout cookie boxes I want you to buy on your way out through the lobby. And that day she sold 7,500 boxes in one day because she asked. So have the courage to ask, be willing to ask. Marquita had a little phrase she put in her book, SW, 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 SW. It says, some will, some won't, so what? Someone's waiting. Not everybody said yes to her, but enough did to get the result. In our book, The Aladdin Factor, we have a story about Dr. Ignatius Piazza. Dr. Ignatius Piazza is a chiropractor. He gets out of chiropractic school. He's moving into Pebble Beach, California, that area. That's where he wanted to have his practice. And he goes to the local chiropractic association. He says, I'd like to open a practice. Will you help me? And they said, no. We've already got too many chiropractors here. We have one for every 8 people in the county. Everyone wants to live here. It's a wonderful place. Go away. Find another place. You'll be more successful. Well, he didn't listen to them any more than Rudy listened. And what he did was he said, I'm going to do it my way. And he went out, and for 6 months he didn't open his office. But every morning at 8 o'clock, he would go and he put a pin where he thought his office might go, and he drew concentric circles around it. For 6 months, every day except Sunday, he knocked on doors and he asked questions. Hi, I'm a new doctor in town. I wonder if I could ask you a few questions. Thinking of opening a chiropractic office here, and I wonder if I should put it on this side of town or that side of town. Wondering if I should advertise in this newspaper or that newspaper. If I was going to be open for people that have 9-to-5 jobs so they can reach me and come without having to miss work, do you think I'd be better to be open between 7 and 9 in the morning or 5 and 7 in the evening? And the last question he asked them was, if I have an open house, would you like to come? If they said yes, he wrote their name down. Well, he went on and he talked to over 12,000, knocked on 12,500 doors, talked to 6,500 people over a course of 6 months. Spent one whole day on a porch with a pit bull, couldn't get off the porch. He's Italian, Piazza. 2 people pulled guns on him. They thought he was a hitman coming. But the fact is, 6,500 people. Captured about 5,000 names on his list. When he did his open house, they had to have a circus tent almost as large as this room to accommodate the people. And in a town that didn't need a chiropractor, 25 or 6 years old, right out of graduate school, his first month in practice, he made $72,000. And that year he went on to sell, or to make over $1 million in that practice. Eventually he franchised his practice, and now he lives here in Vegas in a gated community. He's a very solid, powerful real estate investor. Looked him up on the internet one night and kind of got the rest of the story. Very interesting guy. I mentioned to you we did Chicken Soup for the Soul. We were rejected by 144 publishers. We never gave up. Went to the Book Expo America, went booth to booth to booth for 3 days. Would you publish our book? 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 You'd think after a couple hundred rejections we'd give up, but we didn't. Only takes one publisher. They published that book. It's got 8 million copies in print, one book. There's over 101 books in that series now, with over 100 million books in print around the world in 41 languages. So that should be updated to 41. So the reality is, you have to hang in there. It's as if the universe tests your commitment. How willing are you to sit outside the Zen Buddhist monastery for 11 months before they finally let you in to train you, and then they call you grasshopper, if you've ever seen Kung Fu on TV. Here's a kid I met when I was researching my book. We were both getting honorary doctorates together at St. Ambrose University. I'd never heard of him. He'd already received the Jefferson Award, which is kind of like a Nobel Prize that the US government gives out. 26 years old when I met him. At the age of 19, he decided the Mississippi River was full of garbage. Didn't get too interested in the chemical pollution beyond his scope, but he said, there's so much trash in here, we ought to do something about it. Didn't know what to do about it, but he started small. He just simply got an 18-foot boat, so I'm going to clean up as far as I can see on both sides of the river from where my house is. And he ran into a problem. He ran into this refrigerator that he couldn't put in his 18-foot boat, needed a crane to pick it up. So he said to his friend who was helping him, we need a barge and we need a crane. And he said, that means we need money. He said, well, where do you get money? He says, I don't know. He says, well, corporations have money, maybe we should ask them. He said, that's a good idea. They went home, opened up the Yellow Pages. First corporation was Alcoa. They called up Alcoa. Now here's the honest-to-God transcript of that call. Hi, can I speak to the head guy? He said, you mean the CEO? He said, what's a CEO? He said, Chief Executive Officer. What's that mean? He's the person that runs the company. Oh, that's the guy I want to talk to. So they put him through to the secretary. He said, hi, can I help you? He says, yeah, I want to speak to the CEO. He said, well, I need to kind of screen your call. What is it you want? He says, we want to clean up the Mississippi River. We need some money. She said, well, how much you looking for? He said, I don't know, 10,000 would help. She said, let me talk to you. So she talked to him for 10 minutes and realized there was no guile. It was simply pure intention of service. And she got him through, and they gave him $8,000. That was very reinforcing. And whenever you're reinforced, what do you do next? Yeah, you do some more of it. I remember when my first book came in the mail, I started writing my next book the next day. I'd seen this thing, and wow, this is cool, let's do more. Calls up, they look down, what's the next one in the Yellow Page? Anheuser-Busch. So they called up, phone rings. Hi, I'd like to speak to the CEO. Here's a quick study. Gets through the CEO's office again, he gets the administrative executive assistant. She says, what can I do for you? He says, we're trying to raise money to clean up the Mississippi River. She said, fine, do you have a proposal? He said, what's a proposal? So she told him. She was so inspired by his intention and his clarity of purpose that she helped him write it. They gave him $25,000. Now, over the course of the next couple of years, they cleaned up 1,253 miles of the Mississippi River. They got over 4,000 volunteers and raised over $4.2 million. A kid that never went to college, graduated in the half of the class that made the top half possible. And again, what was it? He asked, and he asked, and he asked, and he asked. And he asked, as Marcia taught us, from what? His heart. And when you come with that purity of intention, people want to help. Look at what's been going on out in the hallways today. Everyone's helping everyone else. You said you wanted a picture with Jack. Here's Jack. Hey, Jack, stop. I'll take it. You know, when people get purity in their motivation, you attract to you people that want to assist you. Not everyone, but enough. Here's him getting his honorary doctorate. He now has 4 of them. So what stops us is fear. We saw Janet talking about fear. Fantasized experiences appearing real. You're the one making it up. I love this little exercise. We're not going to do this, but I would encourage you to do this on your own and to write a list of things you're afraid to do. Not afraid of, like spiders, but afraid to do. Go to sleep where you see a spider, pick up a spider. Afraid to reach out and ask for what you want. Afraid to sing your song at church. Afraid to ask your boss for a raise, afraid to I can't even say entrepreneur in your company, go and propose a profit-sharing plan of some kind. It's just because you're making up a picture. So if you take that to the next level, I'd really like to blank, and I scare myself by imagining blank, you begin to get it's you doing the imagination. And as we talked about, there's 2 kind of images. Catastrophic, you imagine the worst. Anastrophic, you imagine the best. If you're going to imagine, why not choose to imagine that which will help you? I remember when I first got there, we're making up all our beliefs. And because I'm such a good little boy and want to do it right, then I said, well, what's the right beliefs to make up? You know, like there's still someone out there judging me. And I finally got it. Make up the beliefs that support you getting the things you say you want. Make up the images that support you to get the things you say you want. In other words, if that's the intention, everything should be supporting it. Beliefs, images, the friends you hang out with, the books you read, the questions you hold and ask yourself. And if you do that, then you stop creating the negative, and that power of focus we talked about earlier starts attracting to you. Both we saw creative images that come up. You start seeing the gorillas and the 3 Fs and the flies that we showed you in the films the other day. And you start getting the creative ideas. That's what Michael was talking about. It's like channels. Comes through him. It's available to all of us, I believe, if you simply open the space to allow it and have the intention to have it come. So again, it's always reconnecting with your vision and your intention. Keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back. And then feel the fear and do it anyway. Susan Jeffers wrote a book by that title. Sometimes the fear is just going to be there. You can disappear it if you do the Sedona method. But even if you don't, just treat it like a 2-year-old. You don't let a 2-year-old keep you from going shopping. You simply take them with you. They might cry and scream, but you do it because the adult's in charge. I love this picture. Feel the fear and do it. He actually jumped from one to the other. I was in Life magazine a number of years ago.
You have reached the end of this disc, but there's more. Just go to the next DVD. To resume listening to this course on audio CD, please go to CD number 36.